pitchfork into their wagon or a bale of hay, and they might hit one of the slaves. That was just a chance they were taking. But many of them walked the whole distance, and it took them a few days to come because they didn't dare to go too fast, and they were, well, under pressure and like that, and some of them were poorly fed, so they had to, as I say, sometimes they come right straight to in short time at all, and sometimes it takes 4 or 5 weeks or a month or whatever. It all depended on how far north they got and how the area was for somebody coming and getting them back. Yes?
You mentioned a man in Huntsville by the name of Taylor.
Yes?
He owned or lived in Collins' house?
He could have.
Oh,
No.
no. Where the town?
I have yet to check those
They
people
have a
out.
movie, you know.
Yes,
It's like
I'm yet to check
8 foot.
those people out.
It's an
The
8
count,
foot
the
drop.
ones in the count house, the
Yeah.
Kenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm yet to check them out. They called me the other day, but I haven't got back to
Because
them.
there's a small room, no windows, you can't tell from the outside, but it's about an 8 foot drop down and just a small little square room.
Yeah, they would hide them in most any, well, unusual place that they thought that the bounty hunters wouldn't come along and check out. Yes,
What part did Sojourner Truth play?
I beg pardon?
What did Sojourner Truth do in the Underground Railroad?
Sojourner Truth.
Huh?
Sojourner Truth. You had to stand.
Oh, she was a slave down in Virginia, I think. And she was quite well educated, and she wrote a lot of articles. The same as Horace Greeley. And, well, I'll get my paper here and I can go from there. Many of these people here that, of course, Henry Clay was in Congress. William Stewart, he was a New York State governor. He was the one that sold the house to Harry Tubman. As a Henry Clay, Daniel Webster was in Congress. James Whitcomb Riley and John Greenleaf Whittier and all those, they wrote articles. Here is a copy of the first Negro paper that was printed in 1827. And here's other articles about different papers that have been published over the years. And here is a Negro paper from Arizona that it mentions Jesse Jackson way back in 1977. He was very popular then. Henry W. Longfellow, he wrote many poems and articles like about the slaves. As did Harry Beecher Stowe. She was the one that was very controversial. The Uncle Tom's Cabin, where the Negro went across the ice and escaped to freedom. Susan B. Anthony. Her father lived down near Petersboro, and she lived there at that time, and he was an abolitionist. He helped many slaves down from that area, from Elmira up through to Rochester, and they escaped across the Lake Ontario. And Booker T. Washington, he was a Negro educator. And all these people here that are on this here were anti-slave people. Any other question? Yes?
Have you ever heard about having a place in Greg where they kept them there for a while? I didn't know a place there.
Where is this?
Used to be the Van Wert, residence on the Swinney Road. And, the caretaker there back when I was a kid told about,
No,
they had a tunnel from the basement out to the bank to the creek and back, where they could hide if they had to.
yeah. No, a lot of these near the area, see, it wasn't until maybe last September that I really got interested. I've had items that I've had stored for a long time. It wasn't really until last September that I spoke before a group in Fort Lyden, and the lady asked me if I knew anything about her house. I said, why, no, I didn't, and she told me where she lived, and she said that she believed that it had been used as an underground. So I invited myself up, or I didn't. I asked her if I might come up and look, and under her enclosed stairway going upstairs, it's all closed in, and she has to go down in the cellar and take a step ladder, and it's a little bit of a trap door like that up under it, the stairway, and it's all sealed in and like that, and I would assume that perhaps it had at one time been an underground railroad station. So that's, I am more than happy to find out that there are more places that I haven't checked out, that maybe tonight I will be able to track more down.
This Van Wert there, he had a Japanese and a Chinese servant, see, and he had them instructed that if anybody come, he'd go and be out of sight, you know, and then he couldn't understand the guy that was asking questions, see, that's the way he got around it.
Over how long a period did this Underground Railroad operate?
From around 1819 up through till after Civil War. And of course, when Lincoln put out his Emancipation Proclamation, that didn't free only just the slaves that were in the southern states. There were 4 slave states that stayed loyal to the Union during the Civil War: Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware. Those 4 states stayed with the Union. Of course, they more or less separated. They didn't send as many soldiers and all like that, but they stayed with the Union. They didn't go to the rest of the slave states. They seceded about the time that Lincoln was reelected for his second inauguration, and they kept seceding. And down there in the South right now, they think more of the Confederate flag than they do the Union now, from what I have gathered. In 1942, I went into service, and I was sent down south to Camp Davis, North Carolina. And I was surprised to find out that in a place below Washington, D.C., they had separate places where the colored would eat. They had white, black, railroad station, your restaurants, any places you wanted to go down there. And it was up until the 60s, when they had the riots in various places, that they started doing it a little bit different. And still, it's a controversial subject. The colored and slavery, yes.
Where was the Calvin Lewis house out there?
I beg pardon?
Calvin Lewis house, you said, around Alva?
Well, that was it's on Main Street down there in Lowville. Or on, not Main, State Street.
Is that Mr. Bouchagan's house?
Probably somebody in Lowville
Is
can,
that where Mrs. Alexander and the Bouchagans lived at one time? Is that the Lewis house?
I know they always said the Raymond Richardson.
it has been changed some, but it's similar to what is in here. That's all I can tell you about that. Some of this I haven't been really checking out as much as I should or could.
Alfred, how did they determine
slaves could escape and make this trip. And in other words, I
They
want to
didn't.
know, was it
The
just
slave-
a,
the
just
slaves
an ordinary
themselves.
field hand himself, or were they chosen?
Well, some of the people were very discontented with, and some of the slaves, they found out that their owner was going to sell them to somebody else. And they were afraid that they would be taken farther south, their family would be separated and all like that. So some of them just automatically took it upon themselves, say, we've got to get the heck out, because if we don't, no telling what they'll, you know, they'll separate our families and like that. So that's the way to, and the slave owners owned 25 or 30 of them, and he let them out to other plantation owners to help on the cotton fields and all like that. And then sometimes when they were out like that, they'd just wander off and find somebody that was coming north to escape.
Was there a very secretive network of people in the South to help these people?
Very much so. Yeah. And many of the agitators, they called them from the north, would come down there and rouse slaves up and bring them back. Yeah, that's the controversy between the North and the South, same as the Civil War is yet.
Some of the Southern people themselves helped them get started.
Yeah, yeah.
So they felt, you know, they didn't want to have them around anymore.
In fact, there was another story of a mother that she had a newborn child, and she knew it would be in slavery, so she killed it, but stabbed it with a knife. For the simple reason that she didn't want the child to be brought up a slave. I have several stories here that I have taken out of John Brown's history and other things that you'd be surprised how some of these people wanted to come north and how they escaped.
Are there any printed figures of reasonable accuracy as to how many blacks came north, or what percentage of them made it all the way through without being caught?
Maybe over 100,000. Harriet Tubman, Harriet Tubman said, and this is her quote from a book that she wrote, or was written on her. On my Underground Railroad, I never run the train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. And she brought maybe 300 or 400 of those from down Maryland area up to St. Catharines, across from Lewiston in New York State, near Buffalo, to Freedom. John Brown got in a lot of trouble by down in Harper's Ferry by trying to think that he could outrun the army and all like that by taking over one of their army camps there, and that now has been moved to a university campus, and the house is or the building, that brick building he used in West Virginia there, is now a museum. 30 or more years ago, I visited with them. It was at that then. I've been to quite a few of these areas in the South where something has happened during slavery or something like that, and by being in the service, I have, at that time, I was interested, of course, checked out. Of course, I have always been interested in anything of that nature. So, did anyone else have any questions?
When
Yes.
these slaves got to Canada, were they just let loose and looked ready on their own at that time, or what?
Yes, more or less. I don't know what kind of an agreement they had. Of course, they didn't have it with the United States, but they, the people that took them up there generally had had some kind of agreement with Canada that they would just let them